What's up, everybody? This is the Christian Anarchist, and we are here with episode 7 of the Ask Christian Anarchist show. Yeah, and it's been a while since I've managed to make one of these. Trying to figure out, when to put time to do one of these, and finally, just like an episode of G-Man versus the World, after a long wait, it has returned with something. So here I am, and here we go. For those of you who are watching this live, please submit any question you have in the live chat or request for the link, and I'll make sure to check with you and see if I can get you involved. But until then, we are already here. We have the Logical Christian, who, by the way, is a new member of the Spiritually Honest Ministries team. He's our Islamic polemics expert, and you can check our page, spiritualhonestministries.weebly, and we have a new article from him on the Quran, and you can ask him if you want later on about that and his ministry that's being involved with ours to help Christians be armed to defend themselves against the teachings of Islam, as well as we have the Perverted Demon, an Australian atheist that I can't tell if actually is an atheist or is somehow a demonically possessed person that honestly needs to have the demon of lust casted out, which reminds me, get the holy water, load them in the shells, and we're going to have a southern exorcist that involves a shotgun blast if things get too crazy here. How are you doing, gentlemen? And that is the first response.
Hello.
And we have the deepness. Oh, congratulations, because we got one person who's probably watching and thinking, what the heck is going on?
I'm motherfucking English. I'm Australian.
I said you were Australian.
I said I'm English. I'm not Australian.
You're English. Well,
yeah.
I messed that up.
Don't worry. Same thing, pretty much.
Oh wow! So the Black Lives Matter thing. This is a thing that's happening.
Oh my god! They come here and it's fucking retarded.
So now it's in England. Well then,
they are saying that climate change is racist.
What?
Okay, hang on a second. We're gonna need something here. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? So tell everybody what they're saying again.
Well, obviously in England we have stricter gun control. Cops don't carry guns, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there's not any like black mass deaths or whatever. It's all bullshit.
Right.
Obviously not any black mass deaths or whatever from police. So they are saying, because they have nothing else to fucking do it about, that climate change is somehow racist.
Yeah. Some people. Well, we're gonna go ahead and just dive right into the topic. And for the two people and those of us who are watching, if you got a question, then make sure you submit your question, and I'll try my best to respond. So here we go. And I guess since we already have a skeptic in here, we're going to let him take the first crack at it. So, Perverted Demon, you know what the deal is. Usually this is a theology, apologetics, or even just on a personal level basis on my experience thing. So you got any questions on any of those, feel free to ask them.
I've not come prepared for this.
We had time beforehand when we were off here. You're prepared. I wonder what you were doing.
Masturbating furiously.
Okay, this is what you get when you try to do online ministries. You sometimes run into this, folks.
I'm like. You like the little angel on the left shoulder. I'm the little devil on the right shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can't be that with me, because the last time I looked at that devil, I crushed it with my bare hands.
No. We're both sitting on the shoulders of I don't know some man. I don't know.
Oh, there you go. So while you think of a
You-
question or anything to ask, or if you want to pop up to any conversation we might bring up, logical question. Logical Christian, do you have a question?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Remember when I told you about that time when I was in that hangout with Darwin's Day, Dawkins Delusions, whatever you want to call it?
Uh-huh.
When him and I were discussing the age of the earth, he brought up Matthew 19 verses 3 to 4 as a proof text for a young earth.
What now?
Matthew 19.
Matthew 19 what?
Verses 3 to 4, I think it is.
Okay.
And he brought this up as a proof text for a young earth.
Okay, let's see. Matthew 19, 3 to 4. Well, I don't see how this necessarily proves a young earth when it's saying, have you not read which he made them at the beginning, made them male and female? Because even regular old earth creationists like Hugh Ross and such affirm a non-evolutionary form of Adam and Eve being made. And they believe that, in the beginning, Adam and Eve was made. But this doesn't answer I don't see where he's getting the idea that this makes a case for a young earth all of a sudden.
I think what he's doing is he's saying that this is referring to the creation account, and that it's like referring to Genesis 1:27 when it says God made man in our image, or I'm sorry, God made us in His image. So, and of course, whenever he brought that up, I asked him, okay, what does it? I had to ask him like 5 times to answer. I was like, what are you referring to Genesis 1:27? Yes or no? And after like the 5th time, he finally answered and said, yes. And I said, okay, so what does it mean to be the image of God?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it is?
Oh, you're asking me, what do I think it is?
Uh-huh.
Well, I haven't looked too much specifically into the image of God things. I know there's different views, but based upon what I know, I believe that it is that we are basically, we have like that little bit of God in us. In other words, we're able to make decisions, we're able to make choices, and that we are able to, somewhat be in a sense, like a ruler of some sort. We are able to have some sense of a control. But I've heard that simply just saying that, being made in the image of God is being able to be reasonable and rational, and that's not. I've heard from people like inspired philosophy that's not necessarily what it means. But I haven't looked too much into that. What I told you earlier, that's my view.
Yeah. I personally don't think it's actually a creation event. It's kind of like what inspiring philosophy points out. If it means to be rational and reasonable, then Satan is the image of God. But he's not. And because Satan's rational, he understands reason and all that kind of stuff, right?
In a sense.
So, yeah. So, of course, we're not like God in all senses, because we're not all-knowing, we're not omnipresent, we're not all-powerful, and all that kind of stuff. But same case with Satan. But anyways, that's the point of the question. But back to what I was saying, because we're getting a little off topic. So your point is you're not really sure how this points to a young earth, basically?
Yeah, if you're just reading Matthew 19 verses 3 and 4, there's no indication that there's an age of the earth. It's only focusing on Adam and Eve. In this sense, you don't see any mentioning of the other creatures. You don't see any other mentioning of the days or anything. So obviously, if you don't have anything about days or even time in general, how is this possibly referring to a young Earth?
That's
It just doesn't make sense. So,
yeah. I guess we'd have to ask Darwin's deity to understand. Can Nephilim free? Because he did the same thing in a chat room with Inspiring Philosophy.
That would be an interesting debate, actually, to see Darwin's deity versus inspiring philosophy.
Yeah, because I mean,
It'd be about as interesting as the Nephilim-free inspiring philosophy debate.
Yeah, Nephilim free was a nightmare, though. He never let him finish. He never let him talk. He never let anything happen. He was like,
and because I muted him that time, then he decided to leave.
Which is kind of interesting. Oh yeah,
because,
I forgot you're the one who ran the whole thing.
Yeah, and Nephilim Free was the one who proposed the debate. He wanted it to happen. He basically asked me to set it up, and asked I believe he asked Inspiring, and then they both wanted me to get it arranged.
And I bet you I can probably predict what would happen if Darwin's deity or Dawkins delusion or
one of my good pals is in the live chat. It is the Puritan Otaku, otherwise the guy who's inspired me to make anime Christian memes. What's up, Puritan? He posted. He said something about the question we were going over from you, saying that the person in question is conflating old Earth with an automatic evolutionary view in the Matthew 19 question. So, yeah, which I think we covered earlier was, what I think he tries to, if automatically old Earth then somehow equals evolution, which I've heard from certain young Earth proponents that that's what it automatically boils down to, is if you're an old Earth, you automatically should be evolutionist or something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a big misrepresentation of evolution, because there are lots of young old Earth Christians.
Or just old Earth creationists in general. I mean, doesn't mean you automatically become an evolution creationist type of person.
Exactly. By that logic, Ken Tobin is an evolutionist because he believes in microevolution. Ken Ham believes in microevolution, right?
Mm.
So by that logic,
I see
they're evolutionists.
Yeah, so I get what you're saying there.
Because he even admitted that during a seminar, like when he was giving a seminar, 100 Reasons Why Evolution is Stupid. He admitted during it that adaptive evolution, I think it's a more proper term for it, is fact.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly different things you can see in there. But since there's some people watching and I make sure I got the controls on, I am going to, let's see here.
Yeah, let's let someone else ask a question.
Yeah, I'm going to leave the link, and Demon, can I trust you? Are you on computer?
Yeah, I'm on laptop.
All right, I'm going to trust you, even though you're an atheist, and I think you're going to kill all of us in the future.
Probably.
So I'm just going to give you the mod controls, so that way, in case anything happens while I'm AFK or looking at something, that you can help weed out if there's any trolls or anything.
Yeah, don't worry.
All right. So we got hopefully we're gonna get Puritan Otaku if he's wanting to join. I sent the link out in the live chat so y'all can join us via there. But while we're waiting, Mr. Mod Controlling Having Demon, do you have a question now?
Yes, I have two that I've written down in the chat for myself so I don't forget.
Okay.
Do you, as a Christian, I know this sometimes differs a lot. What's your opinion on aliens? Do you believe in aliens or no?
Well, I think the
so I know some Christians are like, oh yeah, if God created life here, then he's probably created some life somewhere else.
I mean, I believe that aliens exist. The question is about, what purpose do they serve? And I think that's a question that should come later on. Because, I've heard one from Ken Ham saying that there's no need to search for aliens because aliens were not born from Adam and Eve, and Jesus didn't die for them, so therefore they're already going to hell. To which, to quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson when he heard this, that's messed up.
Well, yeah, but technically those aliens wouldn't have original sin, would they?
And no, they wouldn't. But however, how do they know at the same time what God's plan is for them? I mean, is there some secret?
Maybe they've got their own version of the Bible
that says that here's our plan for aliens. I mean, maybe God has like written a revelation
maybe they're not
for the aliens on that planet.
Well, you've got to think like. I mean, I don't know how old you believe the universe is, but whatever. I mean, at what time we might not be the first ones that he theoretically created. If you think about that, maybe we're like the 10th or 100th or it's not even just second or first or whatever.
I mean, I believe God is able to create however much and whatever much that he wants concerning planets, beings, and whatnot. I mean, he is the all-powerful creator, and he has every right to do whatever he wants, whether it be creating how much he wants and treating his creation in however manner he wishes to do so. He is, after all, described in Romans 9 as the potter, and the potter has the right to do whatever he wishes with the clay. So, rather than being making an abundance and shaping and molding of different sorts and forms and for certain uses.
Another thing, so if there were aliens, what do you think they'd look like? Because I have a real fucking problem with grey aliens. I fucking hate that stuff. I really do.
I'm not gonna say like I'm gonna limit your speech or anything, but if you could, try to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Watch the language. It's cool. Just
So I have a real problem with grey aliens. They really annoy me.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. It's just I do know what it is, but.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I prefer the alien from Signs. I mean, at least they're easy to kill.
Well, they come to a planet that's like 90% water or whatever. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and it is Hana. Hana Zabi. Hana is a wolf and an obvious fan of the anime of Wolf's Rain and a good friend of mine. So Hana,
so sweet.
How you doing?
I'm I just ran an event, League of Legends event here in New York City. So, or at least I helped run it, I should say. So everything seems to be winding down. So I'm headed home.
Right
I just saw your message now, and I was just like, oh, what's going on? So I joined.
Well, this is Ask Christian. I don't know if you've been on this one before, at least not to my terrible memory. This is Ask Christian Anarchist. This is number 7 of it. And this is basically ask a question on either thing, me personally, theology, any apologetic question, anything you got in mind, go ahead and ask it, and I shall answer to the best of my ability. And I don't know why, I just went for an accent for a second.
No, hey, listen, embrace it. All I'm saying is, like, usually when I ask you a question, you're very upfront with it. So I feel like, I don't know why we have a video series on it when you can just literally come up to you at any point in the day and be like, hey, CA, what do you think about X, Y, or Z? Or what do you do this? And, you just answer it truthfully. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to ask.
Yeah. And sometimes, I have, like my email. It's literally called askchristiananarchist@gmx.com. That's literally my email. Because, whatever time of day or anything, if you want to ask a question there. But I figured for this, not only is this a broadcasted thing, this allows for a live interaction and also recorded for people who maybe want to look for something later on. And some people who watch the thing live also can get a chance to interact in the moment.
Yeah. Hey, can I say something about the aliens thing?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
I don't personally believe in aliens. I'm an agnostic when it comes to aliens. I have never really seen any convincing evidence that they exist, so I was thinking, like, may I ask why you think there are aliens?
Because from the amount of planets out there and the amount of genuinely habitable planets that we have already found, it's like a 99% chance of aliens. So it's like betting on the most safe one. I mean, you're gonna say like, oh, would you rather be shot in the head with this gun that's gonna do 99%? I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But it's just a very high likely chance. So I mean, why not? Obviously, it's a chance that there couldn't be any. There's a chance that there could, but whatever. It's just I'm bidding on the highest chance.
Yeah, that's cool. I see.
I mean, we found like a planet that's like 99% like Earth. I can't remember the full name now, but it's like so much like Earth, it's ridiculous.
What planet is it?
I can't remember its name. Oh god.
Is it in a
Let me try and
different?
find it. Let me try and find it.
I bet it's probably a different solar system, right?
Yeah, it's Kepler 22b.
Wait. Was that discovered by Johannes Kepler by any chance? Or was it just named
maybe.
after Johannes Kepler?
Might be named after her. I don't know. I don't really say.
You know Kepler was a man, right?
I don't even. I don't know. I'm just looking at planets.
Yeah.
I think it's called
I
Kepler
don't
because
think anyone denies that Kepler was a man.
I thought he said that. I thought it was named after her. I'm just messing around.
sorry.
It's okay.
In that case, I'm just in and out. Then.
It's like 4 a.m. over here. I'm a bit tired, so
It's okay. I'm just screwing with you.
no, it's fine. Don't worry. I think it was Kepler. I don't fucking know.
I never get tired of that. Oh yeah. So you said you had another question, was it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, besides the
What's
aliens
your
one.
opinion? Yeah,
Huh?
What's your opinion on genetic modification? Because with a new system called fucking sorry, it's a big
Just
thing.
like I said, don't stress too much. I mean, I'm not going to interfere with your whole freedom of speech
Yeah,
thing.
I know. It's just part of speech over here is a lot of swearing. It's a different culture. Anyway,
Right.
It's okay.
genetic modification with this new thing called CRISPR. It's somewhat new. Called CRISPR. It makes years of genetic modification work into weeks. It cuts the cost by about 99%, and it's like a scalpel for genetic modification. It's that accurate.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on this? Because it could lead to all that stuff. So
Design of babies.
yeah, does that like when the baby's in the womb, you could say, "Oh, I want it to have blue eyes and have blue eyes."
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's a
I want it to be 6'2".
Would another thing of this be called designer genes?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, because I'm looking at one article. It says a group of Chinese scientists announced that they had modified human embryos using gene editing technology.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, and there's a good article from desiringgod.org. These people have dealt with some very interesting science topics concerning, Christians and stuff like that. Like the one time about, should Christians consider donating their body to science, or what about cremation and all that stuff? So they're very bold to tackle some of these topics. My take, though, on this is that, as long as it's for good purposes, for example, with gene modification, maybe a disease can be taken care of.
Yeah. They did it. Obviously, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, they did it on like.
Go ahead.
They did it on like this is the first version, but they did it on a rat, and this rat had like 99% AIDS in its cells or something like that, and it took like 48% of the AIDS out of it. So that's exciting.
Yeah. So if it's good for the benefits to help people out, that's a good thing there. But we had just that alone. you just have that. But then you look at the other situations. I mean, then some people can do it for morally wrong reasons, in my opinion. And I think it's like anything else. Like, let's say, for example, as a Christian, you watch anime, or you're a Christian and you're looking at movies, or you're Christian and you're listening to music. As Romans 14 says, there's certain things that are beneficial, but then there's certain things that in a Christian's life are harmful. But there are also certain things where for example, I could listen to a simple music from George Jones that is just it's neutral and there's nothing wrong about it. But if there's a song like, say, The Mentors, a metal band, where they, and even in interviews, have stated that their music is to promote rape, then that's a questionable thing where I need to stay away, steer clear from that. So in the same sense with this, we're looking at a scientific thing where it has some good, but at the same time can lead to what I think for the Christian is some negative repercussions at the end. So that's the main thing I would be very concerned with concerning it.
To be fair, for everyone, it could have negative repercussions, because think about what if North Korea got their hands on this.
Good point. Then everyone's going to be Kim Jong-un at the end.
That too. They could be like super soldiers.
Yeah. No, that's the other question there. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for your question, man. Before we get before we get to this next question that's submitted via the live feed, we got two new guests in here. We got a Blake Harris, otherwise known by the Twitter, and as on the podcast, we have the Puritan Otaku.
Yes.
Mr. Puritan, you there?
Hello?
Yeah. We're not hearing you if you're talking. Might be a mic problem. Might have to reset and come back in.
I mean, I heard a hello, but that's it.
Wait, you did?
I heard like a very faint hello, maybe? I don't know.
That was me.
Wait, Blackjack, you hear him?
Barely.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I don't hear anything either. Yeah, try coming back in and let's see if that, because sometimes Google tends to be like that.
Yeah.
It's a finicky message.
So while he does that, we're going to answer this question that was sent from Precise. Wants to know what my thoughts are on the Mandela effect, because apparently now a lot of Christians are buying into it these days.
What's that?
The Mandela effect is basically this, and this is why I don't like it. It's basically also, as I call it, the man I really don't want any responsibility Della effect, because that's all it is. It's someone who doesn't want responsibility. So they'll claim something like, before we continue with that question, let's check Blake's mic for a second. All right, so Blake, do a sound check.
Check.
All right, we can hear you now.
Yay.
There we go. All right, so back to the question. Yes, Mandela effect is basically like the idea of, someone's heard it says, Luke, I am your father. That is what is popularly put on t-shirts, and that's what popularly people think that's the line in Star Wars. But if you look at the actual movie, it says, no, Luke, I am your father. So the difference is, no, Luke, I am your father. And then there's the other popular theory is the Berenstein Bears and how it's spelled compared to how people thought it was spelled. So some people think that what this is something called the Mandela effect, and that is that what we thought was that somehow we were in another dimension of some sorts, or that our mind has some kind of a different type of dimension idea. Blackjack has posted the like a Wikipedia thing, I guess. I don't know. It's like explaining what it is, saying, quote, the Mandela effect is a theory of parallel universes based on the idea that because large groups of people have a similar alternative memories about past events. So anyways, advocates of the theory claim that for these collective experiences to be true, the fabric of reality must have shifted at some point in the past, and that therefore not only do parallel inhabitable universes exist, but that we are constantly switching between them. This to me is just a good example of saying of a person who doesn't want to admit that they were wrong on something. Well, I thought it was spelled like this, so obviously I must have been in another universe, so I'm technically right. No, you're not. You just messed up. Big time, and it happens. Grow up.
What if they were telling the truth?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, yes?
I was going to say, like they always say, one of the big example is in the movie Star Wars, it says, I am your father, but a lot of people quote it as Luke, I am your father. Now, they'll say, well, since so many people say it's Luke, I am your father, there must have been at some point, yes, at one point in some universe, this was said. What they fail to acknowledge, though, is that human beings are very, especially when it comes to memory, are very easily influenced. And so when some popular, and I can't remember what it was, but when before the movie was coming out, there was a very popular magazine article talking about it, and at one point they misquoted it as Luke, I am your father. And then other people started picking up, it became memes. So people alter their memories thinking, no, he must have said that. It's an interesting theory that actually I don't see having any credible evidence other than people saying, well, this is how so many people remember it, so it must be true.
Right. All right, so to inform some of the people, we only got a total of 40 minutes left on here before I have to head off to the bed. But we got several enough people in here to get that settled on. So we're going to go in the order of people that have shown up first to make sure we get everything. So first off, let's go to the Puritan Otaku. Since he finally has his mic working, we can go with him first. So, Mr. Puritan, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's been a while since the podcast. How you been?
I've been at school and stuff like that, so studying and that sort of stuff.
Well, I'm planning on going to a anime convention in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, so I'm going to be back in Louisiana to visit the convention there, and there's a 3-day anime convention there. Might want to check it out.
Yeah.
So, hold on, electrical. So, do you got a question?
No, I'm just saying I gotta go.
No. I'm asking Puritan because it's his turn.
I'm not asking you a question. I'm just saying I gotta go. I think get out of here.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'll see you later, man.
Take care, bro.
Bye.
All right. So, any questions you got for us today, Mr. Puritan?
Oh, not really. Man, I think there was a few comments I had in mind, but I can't. Oh, there was one. This is a little bit backtracking a little bit, but I do remember just briefly there was the question of aliens and stuff like that. If someone wants to check this out, has anyone read C.S. Lewis's The Space Trilogy? That's what it's referred to. There's it's 3 books. I'm just curious if anyone has.
I haven't seen that one. No.
Okay, it's actually probably one of his most interesting books as far as the ideas. I'm not completely on board with everything he says, but it is quite interesting. The first book is called Out of the Silent Planet, but it's just called The Space Trilogy. You can normally find it in 1 volume, and it's quite interesting as far as the ideas he puts forth in those. And then one is as far as would aliens need Jesus or whatever kind of thing, is that, well, one thing that's it's in C.S. Lewis's little universe there, he puts there, he does put the idea of, well, human beings could be the only unfallen race. which is an interesting, anyway, it is one of those things. It's an interesting series of books that deals with those sorts of things, and also just ideas he talks about in his book Abolition of Man. But I would mention that. But it is, in terms of speculation in a literary form, it's very interesting. And then, as far as the other of this, it is one of those things. I'm sure there's probably, I mean, they found bacteria or whatever. So I definitely have no problem with certainly admitting that there would be bacteria and other stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. The Bible does not address aliens. There's a lot of things that it doesn't specifically address, you know. But that doesn't necessarily mean there's something not true or whatever. Bible doesn't mention electricity, but so.
Right.
That's my brief thoughts on that.
All right. Well, thank you for those thoughts. I'm gonna have to check that out. The space trilogy. So on to Blackjack, who said he has one question. Speaking of which, Blackjack, how you doing, you Eastern Orthodox heretic? had to do the Merrick voice.
Yeah, very good one, by the way. Actually,
I am Merrick East.
Oh my. Sorry, my George Takei impression. Real quick, I do actually have a question for you. It was something going back to your talk about a minute ago. But do you think that what is fine for one Christian, ignoring denomination, this is just a strictly question for your opinion, but what is fine for one Christian to do is sin for another person, for another Christian to partake in?
Right.
Example being listen to certain kinds of music, or I don't know what your feelings on drinking are, but you know, like me, I've never been drunk, and I occasionally have a sip of, you know, wine or mead. Never been drunk, never been tipsy. But while I don't necessarily consider that sin, do you think there are some activities that you may partake in that could actually lead other Christians astray?
Yes. I mean, for example, especially, and we've talked about this, if you go to watch one of our theological discussion podcasts with me, Puritan Otaku, and Veckel, when we talked about are Christians permitted to watch anime, because we discuss a great deal about that in other instances of similar situations. For example, Veckel doesn't watch Full Metal Alchemist anymore because at one point the transmutation circle that was used by one character looked like a satanic pentagram to him, and he felt very uncomfortable at that point and felt like that something would be endorsed by him that he wouldn't feel comfortable doing. So he felt it would be a sin for him to do so, and therefore he didn't want to do it. However, he said that some people that are able to continue watching it, and they don't get that kind of vibe, and they're still very devout Christians, very still in the faith. And to me, that's a good sign right there, is that, you know, this is something that they're able to handle, but some people aren't. I mean, Romans 14 is a good example. I would recommend you to read that passage when it talks about the different types of food that certain Christians eat, and one is shunning and shaming the other because of the different approach he has to it. And you see this in various points. I mean, Paul's trying to be abstinent, but there are some people who are married, which he says, you know, I try to be abstinent, and it's in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, saying I try to be abstinent and all that stuff, and give a devotion of my life to the glory of God. But there are some people who should not live this life, and they should get married for the sake that they don't burn in lust. And that's the kind of thing, is that some paths some people take, it's going to lead to a sin and a destruction. But some people, they're able to handle that same path, and because of their maturity and their certain level and sanctification, they're able to handle what comes ahead of them. They're spiritually mature, they got the Holy Spirit behind their back, and they know how to handle this situation. But some don't, because they're still babes in Christ. They're still kind of weak in the faith, and it would be a shame if we, as the Bible says, were to introduce a stumbling block to them, or if we were to become that stumbling block ourselves to this person. Am I making any sense here?
Oh no, you are, and I agree. I fact at a few cons that I've done panels at. One of my favorites to do is intro to anime for unknowing parents, and I go over that kind of stuff. That don't assume all anime is the same. I always kind of use the example. It's kind of saying like Barney and The Walking Dead are exactly the same because they're both live action.
Right.
And I try to explain the differences and how you should watch it with your kids because there may be subject matter that not all parents agree with.
Right.
And I always say some Christians don't have this. Not all same Christians have not all Christians have the same temptations to each other. One may be tempted to drink and become a drunkard. One may be tempted by lusts. And so those two people couldn't exist all the time in the same exact places due to temptations.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I view it.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think a Christian shouldn't be drunk, for example. I mean, drunk is a separate thing from, like, having some wine. I mean, the Apostle Paul said, having a little bit of wine is good. In fact, it's like a medical type of thing, like heals the ailments or something like that. But too much, I mean, he says wine is a strong drinker and it can be a damage as well. So a little bit of wine for, like, maybe one glass, that's fine. Maybe 3 or more glasses, might want to control yourself there before you fall over or something like that,
Oh no, and I fully agree. Like I said, I've never even been buzzed. But then again, when I drink alcohol, I have no problem stopping. Whereas my father-in-law, once he can say no to a drink, but when he starts drinking, he tends to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So, he'll avoid certain places. And yeah, I agree. It's one of the things I always talk to some of my Protestant friends about who decide to get into discussions with me. Very rarely arguments, but they say, well, if the Bible says don't drink, and I'm like, it always says don't become a drunkard. There is the difference.
Right, exactly, and that's what we should be careful with it concerning the language that it uses. Right.
Or don't drink on the job there is one other example, but I mean it's a specific context that's provided in particular, like for a judge or something like that, which that's
right.
That's for obvious reasons. You don't want someone drunk that's saying, okay, who stole what? Or
it clouds the judgment, right?
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, it is one of those things. It's definitely a liberty issue and also would typically just go down as a motivation. I for one have just never the teetotaling thing. I mean, I've been around those types of circles or whatever, and are very much in those types of circles, and it's just something that's just kind of been like, it becomes problematic, especially when there's specific parts of the Bible that deal with wine in a positive context or alcohol, which basically means, does this mean I have to ignore these scriptures exist? Right. There was one of those types of verses in the prophets the other day, in fact, in the class, where it's like, oh, this is a very Baptist verse, and then one other was just, we both had this exact same thought, because it brings up milk and wine, I think, or honey and wine as like a two substances or whatever, and then both me and another person had this. I don't think it sounds very Baptist at all.
Yeah.
Well, at least not a Reformed Baptist. Reformed Baptist would be like, what? Spurgeon, we'd have the cigar and the scotch and grand old time.
I got the meme for you, Blake. But in the meantime, thank you for your question, Mr. Jack. If you got any other ones, we'll go back.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. J, how you doing? Mr. J?
Dead apparently. Dead.
Oh, don't tell me this silent mic thing is working on him too. Hello?
I think he's dead.
Oh, shut up, demon.
You love me, really.
All right, so James, try doing the same thing that Blake did. Just try clocking out and then coming back in, and then we'll hopefully we'll see if that works, and then we can try to see if we can get a question of yours answered. But in the meantime, I want to show this to Mr. Puritan Otaku. Here's my inspired anime meme for the day. Aladdin the Magi is a Calvinist now. Now accept this confession of faith that he offers.
Ha! Nice.
What would you think? Would you think he is a Reformed Baptist, or is he a Presbyterian in your eyes?
Well, no, I mean, he's got the London Baptist Confession, I mean, and of 1689. So, I mean, what more could you want? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the gold standard. I mean, he's arrived.
I mean, look at
His
these.
theology is perfect now.
That's why he's shining in the light right now.
Exactly. Every time, the first time you accept the London Baptist Confession, there's a light that shines, and it's just, it almost sounds Pentecostal, but it's totally not, because...
So wait, so if I go
It's
to my... So if I go to my copy of this, the London Baptist Confession of Faith, the light's going to shine down upon me?
No, it's the first time you accept it as the perfect man-made rule of faith. That's when the light shines. After that,
and
yeah.
it works. Yes, yes.
I mean,
agree.
if you look really close, there's kind of a little bit of a light, but you have to look really close.
Yeah.
There's some people who practically probably thought I was serious. Few people might be listening or whatever later on and be like,
what the heck is he talking about? Is he high?
well, just about the Baptist thing, because there are those, unfortunately, there are those Reformed Baptists that I'm just like, please stop calling yourself that for the sake of the rest of us.
For the sake of the rest of us. Speaking of the rest of us, we got another person in here. Mr. James, how you doing?
Hi.
We could hear you now.
Excellent. I was trying to say a few things. I wasn't sure when to chime in.
Well, welcome, and you're chiming in. And I'm going to keep this one up while you ask your question. So, what's your question, sir?
Okay. My question is in regards to something in regards to Calvinism is why does God choose to allow some people to enter paradise while allowing others to suffer in terms of the whole predestination thing? I've just been wondering that.
All right, so why does he do it?
Yes, I've just been curious about that.
Well, for me, it is because he something that he wants to do, and that's the only main thing that I can really think of. Because when further asking, is this fair, in Romans 9, then you have the Apostle Paul saying, "Who are you, O man, to talk back to God? Doesn't the potter have power over the clay?" And all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, to me, and I want to get one misconception out of the way, because I know some people are probably going to bring it up. With predestination, God doesn't choose specifically certain people to... Is there a guitar playing in the background?
Yes. Is it distracting?
No, it's really relaxing. I just want to make sure that it's, not from like any music thing or anything, because then if it's from an actual song, this thing could be copywritten.
Oh no, it's actually my guitar that I got.
Then you're fine. You're cool. But
Play some smooth jazz to help the conversation. Smooth jazz always helps. There we go.
Take him.
There you go. So, where was I? Oh, yes. So, concerning predestination, the misconception usually is that God chooses people to go to hell, like he specifically designs them and chooses them and just throws them in. It's not exactly how it works, which is what it is that God chooses those who he saves. He doesn't have to even interfere or do anything to those who are unelect. They simply are left in the natural state that they're in. So concerning predestination, why does God do this specific means? It's simply because that this is one, the only way that of which salvation could be even offered upon people. Which even then, you should ask the question of why does he do it like this? Why not just ask why does he do it? Period. Because none of us deserve grace and mercy, as the Bible states. So it's even a miracle that we are chosen into salvation to begin with, or that we're being saved to begin with. So that's the one thing that I hope gets to a point across, is that first of all, make sure you ask the question, why are we being saved to even begin with? And the second question I would put forward is this, is that when we're looking at predestination, when you look at the rest of the Bible concerning our condition as fallen man, does predestination make more sense compared to the other views? Well, predestination itself, that's biblical. But the view is what, and everyone holds to a predestination view, but what is the predestination view that's consistent? My opinion is the predestination that involves the ordination of everything, including the salvation of people. And you have the Pelagian view, the semi-Pelagian view, the idea that man still is able to make the first step to come to God on his own, that he has this will and capacity to do so. When John chapter 6 contradicts and refutes this, and not only that, it was condemned at these councils, like the Council of Carthage, I believe, condemned the Pelagian heresy. The Council of Orange in 529 condemned the semi-Pelagian heresy. But then you also have slightly different views that I wouldn't say are consistent, but they're not heretical nevertheless, like Arminianism and Molinism, for example. They're different and very interesting viewpoints. The one thing that I agree with Arminianism is that, like Calvinist view of predestination, it's God that has to make that first step. Man can't make the first step towards the concept of grace. It's God specifically. So I think the idea is considering how does God and man work in relation to salvation and grace being administered. That would be the main thing I'd say to look at if you're looking at the question of predestination, in order to understand how are we to understand it, what view is more consistent.
Okay, I was just curious because I read something, I believe it was in John, that Jesus said, nobody comes to the Father unless I draw them near, I believe is what it was. Mm-hmm. I was just curious about something like that.
John chapter 6.
Thank you.
Yes, John chapter 6. Yeah, and I would say John chapter 6, because here's another thing. In John chapter 6, verses 44 and 65, a Greek phrase is used, which is oudais dunatai, which is used for the phrase of no man can. And literally, the Greek phrase means no one is able or no one has the capacity or the ability to come to me. And that is essentially what it is saying, that the man does not have the ability to come to him. Why does that sound like one of the endings of Inuyasha?
Because it is.
I already like you.
Thank you.
Yes, you. Just because you took me back old school, my friend.
It's a very simple song to play on the guitar.
I'm gonna have to go look it up in a few, because I always remember that comes on whenever Inuyasha's over. I'm like, no, more Inuyasha. Oh well, we can at least see Sesshomaru walking around like the emo king that he is.
Yeah, with his tail wrapped around his arm.
Like One Piece.
It's
duly noted.
I do not want to even start that series because of how many episodes there are.
It's a good way to binge watch.
Yeah, there's actually, I know a group of friends of mine who are actually editing it down One Piece so far. They've got the released ones. down to, I think, 120 episodes by editing out filler and stuff that's just unimportant. And I think when they finish it, they're going to release it on YouTube. So keep an eye out for that, because that's actually really good.
All the filler's really good. Like, the filler in One Piece isn't just shitty filler, it's like actual character development. It's like fucking Naruto, where it's,
Right,
like,
it's
around for an hour.
Yeah, no, it's very good, but they're taking out some of the stuff that would be good to explore the characters, but for people who just want story, they're editing out, like, unfortunately, they edit out a lot of... Well, yeah, but like they're taking out a lot of Chopper's backstory with Dr. Hiroki, I can't remember his name, because while it's great, they're just trying to make it more entertaining for people to kind of binge watch and skip certain stuff, because, like you said, there's no real, like, true filler that doesn't matter, like we see in Bleach and, oh my god, Naruto.
Yeah.
You know what's a great anime that's getting a second season?
Wait, what?
Do you know what's a great anime that is getting a second season?
One Punch Man.
Yeah.
One Punch Man.
Oh.
I wish I could play that on guitar. I should learn that.
If I was gonna say, if I can make a super awesome anime announcement that I'm personally excited about.
What's that?
Apparently, I had to order the magazine for this or whatever, just because I was like, I need this for commemoration. But
This will be the day we've been waiting for.
yes, that sort of thing. But apparently, did anyone watch Fully Cooley?
Season 2! Season 2!
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Yeah, I know it's returning. I'm like, I'm like, the hype is so real right now.
I'm sorry. This is us taking a very deep turn from theology into anime.
Yeah,
I'm excited about. I'm curious about that, because that is going to be quite an interesting take when you go from what I thought should have just been the end of a very random series in and of itself, and now it's getting the second season.
Actually, Fooly Cooly is probably one of the deepest, most thought-provoking animes if you actually take time to watch it. But if you want to see an anime that's good for religious discussion, that really gets into deep, I would recommend Corpse Princess.
I thought you were about to say Corpse Party, which I would have then said, "Get the heck out of my room."
I was about to
Corpse
say that
Princess.
too.
No, Corpse Princess, really good.
Corpse Princess.
I think I may have watched that one. Although I'm blanking out. Maybe I'm. Anyway,
So why would this be a good thing for a religious discussion?
It's based around the dark side of Buddhism, about resurrection and things like that. What does it mean to have a soul? But people don't realize there is a religious aspect that actually believes in deity in Buddhism, and it deals with the dark sides of that, because we always see Buddhism is touted as this very spiritual enlightenment. Oh my God, get rid of self. But they're showing the dark side, the ways that things can go wrong with it. Really good anime.
So it's someone like it's still like the actual parts of Buddhism, basically, still, but it's focusing on the darker aspects.
Right, and I recommend it. In fact, there's a lot of really good animes that deal with religion that are very thought-provoking if you dig deep, if you actually pay attention.
Well, I like the portrayal of the Protestant and Catholic war in Helsing, because I'm like, that's technically, if I was a part of Helsing, I wouldn't act differently as I am today. That's how crazy I am. It's me versus Anderson, and
let's go back. Let's go back to my house and I'm like, all of my favorite cereal.
And now we have the abridged series being introduced, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, the funny thing is, I normally try to do the abridged series Alucard's voice whenever I go to conventions, because it's always fun to do, because I have the deep voice to do so.
Right.
Speaking of which, reminds me of my favorite roast. Honestly, if you're gonna have a penis fighting competition with a woman, you must have starting out with the most cruelest handicap, which I'm sure benefits the 9-year-old boy you have chained up in your private Vatican jet, which was paid for how, by the way? Oh right, generous donations to help spread the word of God all over his back. And there is my shot at the Pope. You're welcome. Your vacancy.
Oh, I fucking love that series so much. Oh.
What do you think about the I think it's like Heavenly Brothers or something, basically where Jesus and Buddha are roommates
Oh,
trying to
no.
understand Japanese society?
See, as soon as I saw that anime trailer, okay. I'll just take that as your question, so that can help us get onto the religious thing. But I mean, as soon as I saw that, I knew that this was going to be something that was very weird, because first thing I ever seen the clip of is that Buddha and Jesus are running from something. Someone like throws marshmallows or something, and then Jesus is leaning back and he's doing the Matrix slow motion bullet time thing, dodging marshmallows or something like that. And I'm like, what the heck? I mean, at least Jesus can control time or something like that, but still, look at the way he looks in this, and just how the whole thing is treated. I mean, to me, it's not something I could feel comfortable watching, in my opinion. It's why I won't watch The Devil as a Part-Timer, because the devil is basically a protagonist in the thing.
Well, you got to keep in mind something about that kind of stuff. I enjoy it because it's a great insight into how Christianity is portrayed to the Japanese, and
Good
when
point.
you understand how they view demons and things like that. Because remember, demons, devils, and all that oni are not necessarily evil. They're a force of nature. Now, this is something I've studied in great detail.
So you would say this is like a way to like study the culture, and when you like engage or witness over there, how they are viewing things.
Right, like, let me ask you this. If you're going to witness to him, do you know who Masamune Date was?
Masamune
Date. Or Date
no.
Masamune.
No, I do not.
All right. Do you know who Tokugawa was?
Hey, Jay, is it cool if while you're doing that, if you can mute, because I think some of it's picking up and interrupting on our audio levels.
Sure, I'll go ahead and do that.
Thank you, though. Your guitar playing is beautiful.
Thank you.
So what were you saying?
Well, let me ask you this. Because I believe to understand Japanese, to witness to them, as you say, you have to understand their history. Like, do you know who Ieyasu Tokugawa was? Ieyasu Tokugawa.
No, I do not.
All right. Well, basically, you have to understand their first introduction to Christianity was initially peaceful, where you had a lot of the Jesuits and things like that come over, and you start proselytizing to them. And you have to understand, Japan, especially in those days, was very open to other ideas. Well, unfortunately, the various Protestant churches decided, well, you know what? They're not converting fast enough, so they encouraged a bunch of Roman master samurai to literally lead a rebellion against the emperor. And during this, basically, the entire Tokugawa, Hideyoshi helped repel them, kick them out, because these guys were basically trying to destroy a unified land that was becoming unified. And the reason I say Masamune is because he is he is an actual saint within the Orthodox Church. Because what he did, even though he's never officially converted, his daughter did. And when Ieyasu said, kick them all out or kill them, if they refuse to, if you find them, kill them, because they try to overthrow the country. Date, who's probably one of the biggest badasses in all of history, and I'll tell you why in a second, helped evacuate 5,000 Christians to Europe. And when he was called in front of Tokugawa to say, why did you do this? And he came up and said, yes, I did. He said, why? He said, because it was the right thing to do. So he did that. But you have to understand, because of that time, that's what started the entire isolationist attitude of Japan. And so they knew about Christianity, and all they had was this horrible, horrible idea of it. But there still was a Christian movement remaining in Japan, even that lasted through today. But because of that, when they reopened their borders, especially after World War II, once again, Christianity came in and kind of forced these morality laws on them based on Christian doctrine, or their interpretation of it. So what you're getting today is a mostly secular society who views Christianity as just part of another religion. So they don't, while they'll listen to you when you talk about them, they don't place God over Asamatru. They just think he's part of another pantheon existing in another place. Thank you. I cannot pronounce their names, and I apologize. So the problem a lot of Christians get when they do that is they don't do any research. They just think, oh, we're going to go over there and share, give them a Bible and share that, without understanding their history and the ethos of Japanese mindset when it comes to religion, because they're already a communal mindseted people. You know, the individual doesn't matter, the communities matter. And when you're trying to talk to an American, which has a very individual mindset, and you have to get them thinking as a community, it's much more difficult, or it's actually easier than speaking to people who already have that community mindset, who know peace, who understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, honestly, it may bother you, but if you ever want to, talk to people from Japan, I actually recommend watching, I think it's Heavenly Brothers or something like that, I think it's Chrono Cross or Chrono Crusade, to try and understand how they view Christianity. Because, what's the name?
Saint Young Men is what
Saint Young Men. Saint Young Men.
People who made it don't want to translate it into English.
Yeah. But you've got to do that, or else you're going to say stuff that they're going to go, yeah, so. And that's why I encourage, even when Christians find it unsettling, if you have a heart of evangelism, now you're a Calvinist, I don't know if you do or not. I'm not trying to place it on you.
Oh, I do. In fact, matter of fact, I recently got these evangelist tool tracks. It's a $50 bill thing that I normally just hand out to people. Like, here's a tip, and there's a one back.
Yeah, well, because I know some Calvinists don't believe in witnessing. I mean, but
those are hyper Calvinists, and we condemn them, my friend. So don't worry, we're on your side.
Yeah. So when you talk to people, you've really got to learn their mindset and their ethos. Like doing that $50 thing, unless you leave a real $50 bill in there, they're just going to think you're an asshole American. Excuse the language, but it's true.
Right. I've seen it before. Yeah.
Yeah, especially in Japan, because there's a saying, and I know it's true. If a Japanese person that you know for a while is always prim and proper with you, always very polite, always very direct, always says sir and stuff, it means they pretty much hate you and don't enjoy your company. Because in Japanese, there's a saying, absolute hatred is no excuse for bad manners.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Something to think about. But I recommend doing that. I can give you a list of stuff to really give you an understanding. If you love anime and if you want to understand where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it definitely helps out a bit. I mean, especially when studying the culture and stuff forth. Yeah. So, yeah, and then that's all the time we have, it seems. Drats for the question and answering thing. It's 5 minutes until I have to hit the hay, but we're going to keep this hangout going for a little bit. I might be off, but of course, every single one of you is free to interact, engage, and talk with other people in here. I think, who knows, maybe Jay and Blackjack have a lot in common, or maybe we'll see Puritan annihilate the perverted demon. Who knows? Maybe he has a M60 machine gun that has holy bullets in it. He's going to tear him to pieces with it and set him on fire at the same time with it.
No, as soon as you log off, I'm just going to talk about My Little Pony for the next 2 hours, if that's okay with you.
Oh, there you go, right there.
Are you talking about me?
And he pulls up the pony.
I use that jokingly because there's a number of merchandise in my room that I will not show or whatever, but yeah. I like seasons 1 and 2. Just the ending of season 2 basically is like.
Oh, come on! Season 4. Come on, you've got Dragon Ball Z level fight at the end of My Little Pony. Come on.
But by that point, once you get into season 3 and season 4, you actually start to notice